We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Woo.
Jets by a million today.
Yeah. Embrace it. Embrace the chaos. We are here on Wednesday night like we always are, right? It's Wacky Wednesday. And man, there's nothing really going on, but you know what that means. It's time to start predicting the 53-man roster. I mean, we already got a start on that. Everybody's put out videos. Everybody started to talk about it. But now it's getting serious because the next time we see our it'll be the training. And there's to be honest, it just got in the same room. So this really easy. If I keep trying to figure out my co-host, so lose my connection, which I must be feeling like crazy. It must be really hard to watch. But for right now, let's say hello, people. What's up, we the people? Harlan Abraham is in the house. What's going on? When it's good to see you, brother. My mother, thinking Lee Cravat is here, also known as Double Chaos. Vince in the house. Vinny, what's up? Vinny Bots, baby. What's going on? We got just mess the answer every time. He knows project. So that is Dom C. And if you want to like on by the show, you subscribe to Project Prospect. See, he'll do his thing. He'll futures all year long. Doesn't mean he still come on this channel and still will, because I would take care of it and try and not come on the channel anymore. You know what I mean? Jacob Figgin is in the house. What's going on, Figgin? Good to see you here. Got everybody piling in. Spall is here. My man John Nolte is the guys. So be nice to him. Anyone else? Look at this. Oh, there's my guy, Tony Alexio. What's going on, Tony? It's good to see you, brother. Aunt Jets is in the house. Here on time. And look, I think I have to get this party started. So we're going to get started right now. I know my right now good. I'm going to fix this guy here. All right, music. Give me the music. The music. It's not getting this. I was going to introduce somebody in here right now. Okay, here I'm going to say hello.
I'm just going to assume I'm being introduced, and I'm just going to get started right now. So while Jeremy is using Green Bean's old school internet from his from the old RV, he's going to get working on that. Welcome everybody to the Wacky Wednesday Night Extravaganza. I'm Wat2K99, as Jeremy usually does a great job of introducing. We do have a special guest who's going to be joining us in a little bit. But for right now, I guess he's going to have me do my own monologue tonight. So Yes, Hank G, I am sounding the best that I can. Although you never know. You never know. My computer does have a tendency to play tricks on me. And if you watched on Thursday night, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, Jeremy's going to try this again. You're actually slowly coming into focus, like coming off a bad acid trip or something like that. I have no experience with this. I've just heard.
I have no idea if this is going to help or if this is going to work.
I think it's better. Yeah. But before, as I said in the chat, you sounded like an Aaron Neville concert. You sounded like that.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all, I'm going to bring in our guest for the evening. I will bring him in. So let's do this before I start losing the internet again. Ladies and gentlemen, this dude, that's what I call him. He's a dude. He's got kids. He's got responsibilities. But sometimes he pushes those responsibilities aside, like the rest of us, because he also has a passion for the New York Jets. Not because he lives in New York, not because he lives in New Jersey. He's right below me in Southern California, baby. But something gave him a calling where he says, man, I love these New York Jets. And that's what he did. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of my favorite guests of all time, the beard-wearing, fathering, jet-rooting, food-eating, I assume, because he's alive and he has to eat to live, water-drinking, greatest Jet fan in the world!
Jerry's just gonna keep going. He's frozen. He doesn't even know it. Jerry's voice is reverberating, but he's frozen.
Oh man! What's up, guys?
You're coming to get better than any of us. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. The green bean internet, that was classic. Y2K, that was absolutely classic, man. What's up, guys? And yes, Jeremy, I am eating food. That's obviously why I'm still breathing.
I realized as I was starting to say it that I don't know what you like to eat, so I really can't sit there and like plug something in. But
I'm a neutral guy. I really don't have a favorite. I'm a neutral guy when it comes to food. I don't particularly have a favorite.
Right, you just like food.
Yes, I do. As long as it's tasty, that's the key.
Well, let me ask you this question: on game day, you have
awesome burger shops, right?
Yeah,
old burger shops.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a go-to food on game day? A game day snack that you go towards most of the time, or do you vary it up?
I have a game day snack. I don't have a game day food. My game day snack, of course, would be Heineken or either Miller Lite. So that's my go-to snack during game day. The only thing about it, when I moved out here to California, I'm so used to the South, right? So when the games come on in the South, it's like 1 o'clock, right? So it's like afternoonish, so it's perfectly okay to drink beer. So now I have to adjust. Well, I had to adjust to California's time. So the games out here, of course, Jeremy knows, they start at 10 a.m. So I literally try to wait till about halftime before I crack a beer open.
Well, you know what? The Jets have so few early games this year that, you'll be watching them as like regular time with all these night games. So it will be perfectly acceptable to start drinking even during the pregame shows.
Absolutely.
Which is sometimes the only way you can get through the pregame shows is with a whole lot of alcohol.
That's true. Oh, man.
We got our fans, the salty one. Salty Nolte, who's actually less salty these days because this is a very different Jets team than when we first met Salty. There's a lot less to be salty about.
Indeed.
If you're looking for a quiet...
Oh, sorry, guys. I was trying to stop that. Okay. I was trying to stop that. I didn't want to start playing. Okay, guys, I'm here.
Well, we got our sponsor out of the way. Now let's get on with the show.
All right. So let's start by 53-man roster. I wanted to ask first, just by starting, what do you guys think is the most competitive room as far as like what's going to be the most interesting room as far as who makes the team and who doesn't in your mind? Like what room has the most guys battling or is going to have the most intense competition for a 53-man roster spot?
I'll go first. Somebody's got to go first. I could go a number of directions here, but I am very interested to see what the Jets do with tight end. Not just who they take on the roster with them, but how many they take. You can make an argument for 3, 4, or 5 tight ends on this team. There's a whole lot of ways that you can go. You've got a great blend of youth and experience. You've got some incredible raw talent. You have some young players who have been getting developed on this team now for a little bit of time, and you've got 2 veterans who were brought in just a year ago and had their contracts redone. And when you throw in number 8 now at quarterback, one thing that Rodgers absolutely likes to do, he likes to target tight ends. And a lot of times he will go after tight ends who you didn't expect. He may not go after the most talented tight end. He may have a really good connection with a tight end that we didn't really foresee, especially when you get down to the red zone. So that's why I'm thinking somebody like a Jeremy Ruckert, like a Zach Kuntz could potentially make a big difference here. The question is, what are they going to be showing over this preseason to make this roster? Because to get that 3rd or 4th tight end spot on this roster, you're going to have to really show out because you got to face some good competition.
Yeah, I definitely identify with the tight ends as the tight end room is a huge battle because like what Adam was saying, if they decide to go with 3 because they want Tom Bud, Nick
Bawden fullback.
If they want Nick Bawden at fullback, then that's a serious. It's not really a competition. It's a serious thing as far as that puts Yeboah and both Yeboah and Kuntz, on the practice squads. Obviously, I think both would at least make the practice squad unless Kuntz is absolutely horrible in camp. But that's messed up if it's only 3, and we know the 3 that it has to be. Barring a trade, we know who the 3 are. That's not going to change. So the tight end room is kind of interesting. What do you think about any other rooms you're interested in, Show?
I'm thinking safety, especially with the Chuck Clark injury. So my mind is going towards safety because of the competition for let's say the depth spots. You have the Tony Adams, who I'm a huge fan of Tony Adams. Of course, you have Ashton Davis. I know some people still like Ashton Davis. I'm not that high on him. And of course, you have the young guys that we acquired this year. So just far as the depth, I think it's going to be a mean competition from that standpoint. And being honest, I know a lot of times we want to lean towards whatever the coaches say or do, but I've always questioned why did they move Nasruddin to linebacker. I think we should have just kept him at safety, his natural spot from college, from Florida State. That's one question. That's one big question mark that I've always had with Saleh and Ulbrich, far as the transition from free safety Nasruddin to linebacker. So yeah, I think it's going to be real interesting as far as the depth. I think without a doubt we know that Whitehead is starting, and our newly acquired safety. I'm not going to talk much about him. I'm sure we're going to get into that later, but yeah, I think just from the depth, who would actually make the 53-man roster for the safety room. Yeah, I think my eyes are completely on that one.
Yeah. I do think that, obviously, if Clark is seriously hurt, he's out for the year. If that checks, if that's the case, it suddenly opens up. Ashton Davis now has hope because when we signed, I call him now. Matt O'Leary named him. When we signed Famous Amos, to me that was that Ashton Davis's hopes were gone in my mind. I said, oh, he's gone. But now that Clark might be out for the year, that gives Ashton Davis hope, to stay on the roster at least as added depth. He knows, he plays special teams, I think. He knows our system. So, if there's nobody else out there that's a clear upgrade, sometimes continuity, will get you everywhere.
That's true.
So, he might be, good for that. I also think that I agree what you said about Sherwood. They did take him out of his natural position, but when you think about it, if they're going to start for the most part when they go to a 2-5, if it's really about Quincy and CJ, Sherwood might actually, when he comes in, be 100% like Quan, for coverage, which kind of puts him in a similar role as safety, right? Because he's going to be covering a tight end or a running back or a slot receiver, so he might be filling in really it's kind of just like a technicality of where he's standing on the field and where, for the snap, like where is he lining up. But if his job is to cover, one of those kind of guys, he did a lot of that in college where he would cover, the slot or the tight end or something like that.
Yep, no doubt about it. And going back to special teams, which you mentioned a moment ago, I'm going to take this back to the tight end conversation because one of the reasons I did a video actually projecting my 53-man roster. I released it about 2 days ago before the Chuck Clark news and Adrian Amos news broke. And one of the things I put on there that surprised some people is I had Kenny Yeboah making the roster. And people said, why is that? And I said, because the Jets do not have another wide receiver or tight end who plays special teams. Outside of McCall Hardman returning, he could do that. But as far as actually playing special teams, you got to realize the Jets are going to use a couple of those spots towards special teams. Now, the fact that Amos can do that is a big help. I am curious to see what Trey Dean is. That is one player I'm going to be watching very, very closely because if I got to look at an undrafted free agent who can make an impact on the actual roster, I think he is definitely the guy who could do that.
Hear a lot of people talking about Trey Dean. I'm pretty sure that Dom C sees him more as a strong safety. Is that true, Adam?
We only draft strong safeties. We're only interested in strong safeties. The free safety thing, we gave up on that when after LaMarcus Joyner. So we no longer believe in the free safety position. I think maybe Jerk Bernard Converse. I could see them shifting him over like they did with Jason Pinnock. That's the one thing they could do.
I think you
can't count on that.
That's the expectation.
I'm salty about that too, man. I was huge on Pinnock. I was very huge on Pinnock. I hate he left us, dude.
That's why it's on Tony Adams. They kept Tony Adams because of and that's why they let Pinnock go. So if it works out well with Adams, then and the thing with Pinnock though, we got to remember he didn't really make an impact on the Giants till Xavier McKinney had his ATV accident or whatever it was and was lost for a little while. Pinnock wasn't playing until the last month of the season. So it's not like the Giants got him to be a starting safety. He was more of a depth piece that came in and played pretty well. But I don't think there's any reason why Adams can't be an even better player than Pinnock is.
Yeah, I kind of felt that the Pinnock thing to me was, like people would say, oh, Tony Adams. Okay, I understand. They like Adams. Fine. Why did he get it over LaMarcus Joyner? I know they wanted a veteran in there last year, but when you think about the future of the team, Joyner was clearly, they had no intention of having him go past last year. You got to balance some of the long run. Last year wasn't our we're not our Super Bowl year like this year and next year. Wouldn't it be nice to have Pinnock right now? I thought he did really well that first year at the end of the season. He started, he played safety for free safety for that Tampa Bay game, and he played really well. So hard to understand that. That was to me, that was a backfire move.
I think we all had high hopes for Pinnock coming, that offseason leading to. Like you say, he finished the season pretty strong, man. So in my mind, I was like, I think we found us a good steal, man, and for some reason, I think we want to keep him. I think we tried to sweep him under the radar and then maybe pull him back in later on, but the Giants were too savvy for that, man. They picked him up, so.
Yeah, a lot of teams picked our players up,
Yes.
And don't be surprised if the same thing happens yet again. Because remember, as I remember, you can keep the full roster right up until the last week of preseason before you have to get down to 53-man. I think it's just one big round of cuts as opposed to several stages of it. So all these players are going to have a chance to show out. They're not going to get cut early. They're going to have a chance to really play. So the Jets will have that much more of a chance to really evaluate these players, and I do like that.
So Brandon Leon says, who do you think the Jets will sign that's in free agency right now? To be honest, I don't think there's going to be any big splash signings. I don't think we're going after D-Hop. I don't think we're going after Dalvin Cook. I'm not expecting it.
And the Sacramento internet strikes again.
Anything like that.
There he is.
I guess I don't know where I left off, but I think the most likely person that we're going to sign, likely player, that's free agent right now, is Quan Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think they could definitely. I mean, I would love to see Alexander back that much more now with Clark out for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
I could see. I still wonder why the Jets didn't have interest in John Johnson, because I feel like he's a little bit more of a coverage safety than some of these other guys that we have. I felt it would have been a signing that would have made sense, but I feel like they've got good depth in a lot of positions. I mean, they've got 6-7 tackles right now. George Fant really isn't anything that we need at all right now. We have plenty in my mind at defensive line. There was one writer linking the Jets with Ngakoue. Why? Why? It would make absolutely no sense. I mean, barring 3 or 4 guys going down, to me, it just makes no sense. But yeah, if I could bring one free agent onto the team, I mean, Quan Alexander he'd probably have to be the guy. Even though I'm sure Kareem Carson would want Ezekiel Elliott, but that's another story. Jake, you know what? Davis has really become a special teams player more than anything. And hey, he will always have that one interception to close out the Cleveland game. So
that was really one of the few opportunities he got.
Yeah, he didn't play defense. He didn't really get an opportunity. He's really a special teams player at this point. Of course, we want him more, but at least he's not a complete scrub. But disappointment, yeah, compared to what we want him to be. But at least he can do some things well.
I guess the question would be, is he a strong enough special teams player to justify?
We've already got one, and his name is Justin Hardy. He ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere.
Pro Bowler Justin Hardy, may I say. Mm-hmm. Hi, Tigo, if you're out there.
I will say, when he's not getting penalized,
yes,
he is one of the best in the league. There's no question about it. But he's got to. I don't mind sometimes the technical penalties, like sometimes the refs will call things that there are whatever. I mean, it happens. But the bonehead penalties, the late hit penalties, the out of bound penalties,
yep.
I think that's got to go this year. We're serious this year. Like this year, we're all in for a Super Bowl. We cannot have we can't have a 15-yard penalty for no reason. Mm-hmm. He's a captain on the team. He's a leader on the team. He has got to keep a cool head. He cannot get us some boneheads late hit penalty or fight, taunting penalty. Like that is unacceptable right now at this point.
Yep. Well said.
When we first signed him, I was like, who in the hell is this guy, dude? Like at the time we signed him, we needed so many different positions filled. And I had no idea who Justin Hardy was, like completely oblivious to that guy. So I did a little research and I saw the Saints fan on Twitter was like, you guys got to steal. And I was like, what am I missing here? And the more I kept looking into him, I was like, oh my God, dude, like, yeah, we may have one. And yeah, quite frankly, we do.
Sure. One thing that I think a lot of us weren't thinking about at the time, our best tackler on special teams at the time was our punter. Who's no longer on the
That's
team.
True. That's
there
true.
Were 3
That's
or 4
true.
touchdowns that he saved.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was a big reason why I think they addressed Hardy, really to help the team grow up a little bit, and and because they needed a leader. There's a reason he was named captain immediately, because that's exactly what he is.
Yes.
Quan, obviously, you got to wait for cuts. What we need, yeah. Well,
sorry, yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like we have to remember that the reason Joe Douglas likes to have money going into the month of June and July, like late June and July, is because as soon as they put those pads on and start mandatory camp, we know what happens. There's going to be injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every team in the NFL has to deal with it. The injury bug will come. And that's why you got to have some flexibility and you got to have some money ready and you got to be prepared for that. For whatever is going to happen. And then any money that's left over, that if there are no injuries that he doesn't need to spend, goes into the Aaron Rodgers restructure, and you kill that money on this year to burn as much of that, the money he's going to have remaining, burn as much of it as possible this year. Rather than not use it, you just restructure it into Rodgers' deal. But that's why I think it's perfect that they're going to wait to the end to do Rodgers' deal, because they'll just, if they need something, if someone gets hurt and they absolutely need it, they'll just rethink how they'll do Rodgers' deal. and then at the at the very last second when it's time to make the final decisions, we'll look at our situation and we'll just take the leftover money and just throw it at Aaron Rodgers.
It could be one of those situations where the Rodgers contract is done like the week before the season starts. I think that's very possible. I just hope the Quinnen extension is done well before that. I still, going back to the beginning of the offseason, I felt it would take until training camp to get that resolved. But we all know the deal. When the Jets make this type of news, it comes out of nowhere. It's something that you never see coming because they do a very good job at keeping things close to the vest. I think it's going to get done, but I think it's going to take a few days into a training camp. I think right around the beginning of August is when the Quinnen contract comes down. But I am confident it is going to happen before the season starts.
Yeah, no, I feel pretty confident. What about you, Joe?
Oh, absolutely confident about it. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sweating that one at all.
Yeah. I think that they're going to get it done before mandatory camp starts. It's nice that we gave ourselves a little extra time, to worry about it. Like, it would have sucked to have to see what was going to happen in this mandatory 3 days. I'm kind of glad it's canceled. It was canceled because I don't know what would have happened. Would Q have showed up? Would he not have showed up? Now we don't got to worry about it. Now we know the hard date of when we have to have them signed, and I agree. I think it's going to happen when we're least ready for it. I think one day it's just going to be announced, and it could be right now. In 10 minutes from now, we might look at the chat and everybody's screaming. Q is extended.
Yeah, I really think if there's one position going back to the 53 that I feel like there's almost no drama with, it's the entire defensive line. We know that the Jets are going to bring in 10 players.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us didn't know that was going to happen last season. This year, we expect it to be 10, and we know the 10. Lawson, JFM, JJ, Bryce, Clemens, McDonald, Quinnen Williams, Quinn Jefferson, Al Woods, Solomon Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
End of statement. We know what it is. There is literally no questions with the defensive line as of right now. And, that is good. That is a really, really good feeling to have. The positions the Jets really have questions at are positions you're not as worried about, that aren't as essential in today's NFL. Who are our depth linebackers? We talked about the safety position already. Will Breece Hall be ready to start from the word go? And if not, who are we going to start? But we do have 3 legitimate running backs, we think, who can at least carry the load for a little while. But I tell you what, I really think that it is important that Breece be ready quickly, because as much as I believe in what this passing game could be, when you're facing defenses that are as good as the Jets are going to face early in the season, and when you have a quarterback who's, let's be honest, brand new with a lot of these players, you have to expect there'll be a little bit of an adjustment. It would make it that much better if we have our elite running back running behind an offensive line that, in my mind, is more of a run-focused offensive line. If you look at Tomlinson, if you look at Vera Tucker, if you look at Becton, they're better at run blocking than pass blocking. Yep. So the health of Breece Hall, I'm not saying you give him the ball 30 times a game, Monday night against the Bills, but I hope he can at least take double-digit carries. I think it's going to make a big, big difference to how the Jets do in these first 6 games, which are going to be so big.
That's one of my biggest concerns, is the running back room, being honest, especially with Breece, us not knowing about if he's going to be truly ready for week 1. And then it's like, who are you throwing out there? Michael Carter, and, you have Bam. Bam showed some flashes last year. I absolutely loved him in college. But it's kind of like he just faded off. And Michael Carter didn't have that, that great rookie season last year. His sophomore year, he was questionable. So I think out of every position, I'm more or less concerned with the running back room, and more so just because of the style of offense that we run. That West Coast offense is really heavy on the run game and the play action. So if they're not able to run the ball well without Breece, I'm really concerned about that right now.
I'll tell you why I'm not as concerned. I'm going to give you a reason why.
Okay.
Once the Jets played the Patriots figured out what to do against the Jets, especially when Zach Wilson was playing quarterback. Put 8-9 guys in the box, dare Zach Wilson to go deep, to beat him over the top, which he was never able to do. And when you put 8-9 guys in the box,
You can't
your
run it.
offensive line is starting to get hurt. Brown's got literally one shoulder hanging off the rest of his body. You have
Right.
no ABT. Tomlinson had a bad year last season. Of course, the running game wasn't going to work. So I'm not so much worried about Knight, Carter, and also Israel. And what these guys can do, because this defense, we're not going to see 8-9 guys in the box unless it's like a 4th and 1 on the goal line. That's the only time you're ever going to see that happen. These defenses are going to have to respect the pass, because Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever walk the face of the earth, and that in turn will open up holes for the running game. I also think Jeremy Ruckert is going to play more this year, and he is a beast at run blocking. Go back and watch the last game against Miami. So that's why I feel the scheme is going to allow more opportunities for the running backs, even if it's for the ones who don't quite have the talent of Brees.
You know that Chicago game that we played last season?
Yep.
Everyone, for the most part, looked spectacular. Michael Carter still struggled in that game.
Yeah. He disappointed me, and he's one of those guys. I think we all want him to do well.
I love Michael Carter,
I
man.
do too,
I love him.
man.
God, I love that guy, man.
But it's like, come on, you're scrubbing your freaking Twitter account because the Jets traded your boy. Really?
Right.
I didn't think Carter was that kind of a guy.
I didn't either.
Really didn't. And if you remember the Flight Series or One Jets Drive, whatever it was before last season, and he talked about, oh man, look at this highlight in my rookie year. I got caught from behind. I will not let that happen this year. But what happened? What happened, Michael? Michael, if you're out there, what happened? They were chasing. You didn't have a chase. They couldn't chase you down from behind because you weren't getting behind the defense.
Right.
That's what I watched.
Right.
I feel like the way you got to summarize it is that Brees Hall is the running back that is special, meaning he could have a below average offensive line, and he did because of the injuries, and still be special because he is special. He's one of those elite type of guys. It was very clear that he was going to be, and hopefully still will be when he's healthy again, one of those very special kind of running backs. We all saw it. Like the second he popped into a hole.
The second he popped into a hole, I know it was amazing. Wasn't it?
the other running backs, you're bad. The other running backs.
I'm just trying to kill the dead air, man.
I'm just trying to say. Oh, am I frozen?
Yes, you were freezing. I was trying to fill it in. I'm sorry.
Am I back now?
Yes, you're good.
You're good. Let it ride.
What I want to say is that after Brees Hall, I think we have running backs that go as the offensive line does and as Aaron Rodgers does, meaning don't let the other team put 8-9 guys in the box and have a healthy offensive line, and then you're going to see the Bam Knight that rushed for over 100 yards in his first opportunity. Then you're going to see the Michael Carter we saw from our rookie year, and we're going to see Israel Abawamda show all the New York fans why the Jets went out and got him and what people thought was already a complete running back room. I just think that those guys are just not the guys that those guys are all good if they have a good offensive line and they're in a good offense that's working. They're not the guys that's going to make the offense work if you don't have a good offensive line and you don't have a quarterback that forces the defense, not to pack the box. But I don't think that's going to be the case as long as Aaron Rodgers is out there, and as long as our offensive line stays healthier and we have a lot more depth going into the season anyway. I think that we're going to see Bam Knight and Michael Carter and Israel be fine, while Brees Hall, if Brees Hall's not 100% yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Quick thing, guys. Did you guys hear the buzz about we wanted a running back with the 15th overall pick? Have you guys been hearing that?
I remember hearing that a little while ago that we were looking at Jahmyr Gibbs. I was like,
yes,
what?
That's exactly who they wanted.
I couldn't believe it. It was like,
yeah, I couldn't either.
I figured that was like a Bill Barnwell type of report. It was so unreliable. Like, what? Where's this coming from? But you know what? I mean, I trust Joe. I love Joe. But running back? I mean, now I could have made an argument, believe it or not, for Michael Mayer going at tight end because the comparison I hear for him is Mark Bavaro. And oh my God, even though the Jets have a good tight end room, oh my God, Mark Bavaro is one of my favorite non-Jets of all time. Really, nice. I would go top 5 NFL. I love watching Bavaro play, and now he went to the Raiders. So the fact that they were interested in him, I am glad that they were. But considering what this defense is predicated on, considering we finished, I've said this to Jeremy before, but Sean, I'm going to say it to you too. We finished 5th in the league in sacks last year with 45. Mm-hmm. But we only came in 22nd in terms of hurry percentage. What that means is when we got to the quarterback, when we created pressure, we got the sack. But there were too many times when we didn't get to the quarterback at all. So there's room for improvement there, especially when you look at the offenses that we got to go against this year. And I know people don't want to hear this, but it is true. The Jets did face 5 backup quarterbacks last year. So there is – and when you add Mahomes onto the schedule, you add Herbert onto the schedule, you add Hurts onto the schedule, plus who we already see in our division. Yeah, you've got to take that game up a notch. So the more I see the more I feel like McDonald is one of those draft picks that's already growing on us in a good way. And it's weird because it's only been over 6 weeks. And it's like at first we were not happy. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I can see why. So I'm good with it.
I actually looked at Will McDonald. I made a video about him once we drafted him. And I looked at Will McDonald last year. Reason being, I didn't think that Jermaine Johnson would fall to us, right? So I was like, okay, I'm sure we'll probably go Sauce. I was heavy on Sauce with the first pick, and I was like, second pick, we have to go with a wide receiver, right? So my mind was like, what defensive edge will be remaining? And I was like, Karlaftis should be gone by then, of course, JJ, and of course Thibodeau for Giants. I was like, what other guy has that pop that Robert Saleh would probably like? And it was Will McDonald. So when we drafted him this year, I was already kind of pre-prepped to make a video about him because I looked at him a lot last year. I didn't look at him a lot this year because I had no freaking idea that we would actually draft a defensive end that high. So yeah, I was basically familiar with him from last season. I was absolutely ecstatic that we drafted him, but it was a shocker. You know what I mean? Like to get him in the 15th, maybe, with that early 2nd round pick. So, but yeah, I did have a little background on Will McDonald, and I actually like the guy a lot.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very special. I think there's a reason that they picked him. And if you look at when he did have the opportunity to play wide, he was ridiculous.
He dominated.
He dominated. And the fact that he was able to play as well as he did on the inside, just like in wins, maybe not in sacks because he was on the inside, he was in the wrong kind of system for that, but showed, even though he might appear undersized, how strong he is. And we know he's going to put that 15 pounds of NFL muscle on over this preseason and next year. So the size will come, but he's only going to play in the wide 9 now. So now we're going to get to see him where he dominates in space because he's all about speed, flexibility, and technique.
Yes.
And the power is there too. I mean, it's not a weakness. Like when you talk about the strengths and when you talk about speed and technique, it makes it sound like, but he's not, powerful. But that's not true either because he is powerful. It's just that his speed and his technique. That when you look at him. I've never seen it broken down so well. Like, and everybody that's broken down the film, what's so evident is if you're an offensive lineman and you're going up against Will McDonald, you have to be technically perfect because any little mistake you make, he turns into a big mistake.
Yes.
So it's exciting. Good stuff.
Do you guys think that we have the personnel to every now and then maybe throw in a NASCAR defense? Do you think our person? Huh?
I'm sorry, I've never heard the term before. What's a NASCAR defense?
Yeah, help us out here.
The New York Giants ran it about maybe 8-9 when JPP was playing. So it's basically mostly it's a 4-man front, right? And it's mostly just defensive ends on that front.
Okay, I got to be honest with you. I never heard the term wide 9 until we drafted McDonald. I never even heard that before.
Oh yeah,
I never heard it. No, not that I remembered. I could imagine. I could pretty much figure out what he meant when he was talking about it. But well, let's think about it. I mean, if you put JFM and Clemens on the inside, although I don't know why you take Quinnen off the field and the stop, but
even if Quinnen is there,
that's still fine with me. But if you're talking about five defensive linemen, Quinnen. I don't know about Clemens. Maybe not Clemens. He's a bit more of a run stuffer. But JFM, Huff or McDonald, take your pick.
Mhm.
Maybe. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, I think if you have I think if you go with Lawson, right?
Definitely,
If you go with
definitely.
Lawson.
and McDonald on the outside, and you have Quinnen on the inside with JFM, or I mean, I think that could be it. I mean, because JFM is pretty damn good at getting to the quarterback from the inside. We know Quinnen Williams is,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put Donald and Lawson on the ends. That could be your all out. We got to get to the quarterback.
Right.
Everybody all out. Like, and
don't forget,
it's fourth quarter, final drive. They're in shotgun. Let's put our 4 best guys there to go after, get the quarterback. Those could be, that would be a hell of a 4.
I wonder if they would ever use in certain situations like that, if they ever would use Huff and McDonald at the same time. I don't know if they would because they seem kind of interchangeable, and I really want Lawson on the field in those spots. And if that's the case, then is there a situation when you can put 5 on the field? And again, don't forget Quentin Jefferson and his ability to rush the passer. I know we haven't seen him play a lot yet, but he was really brought in to take on that role, to fulfill that Sheldon Rankins role, and he can do it. So he may not be getting a whole lot of snaps, but I think he's going to have some opportunities.
I think you're going to see not a lot, because you're right, Lawson is the first option.
Yeah.
But I think because they rotate and they give rest, there's going to be times where you're going to see Huff and McDonald.
Yes.
Because when Lawson is off the field, it's good. Sorry about that. Hey. Whoa, hey. When Lawson is not on the field, I think you're going to see McDonald in the wide, playing wide, and I think on the other side, in passing situations, you're still going to see Huff, right? Because Huff was playing, on the other side in passing situations. So, the combinations and this is the best defensive line from 1 to 10 I've ever seen in my life. I like when you view it as 1 to 10. Maybe we don't have the best one ever or the best 1-2 punch ever, but when you get down to 10 guys
collectively, right?
I've never seen a defensive line this stacked. There's so much talent and so many different skill sets. Like, here's a question right now, right? Who's going to have the breakout season, Ruckert or Jermaine Johnson? To me, Jermaine Johnson already had a breakout season, not complete breakout season, not like obviously not all pro. He didn't play enough of the snaps, but forget about the sacks because that wasn't his job. His job was to seal the edge. For a rookie to come into this league and do what he did, most notably against Buffalo, stopping Josh Allen, he already is playing at a high level for what they asked him to do. First, second down, seal the edge. He already is doing that at a strong NFL level as a rookie, and he got some sacks when given the opportunity. When they did pass, he did create pressure. He did show those skills. So I think it's going to look more like a breakout season for Ruckert, even though I think that JJ can get much better and improve his numbers, because Ruckert only got to play in one game really. So now Ruckert, I think, is going to get a lot more time to play. So I think that he's going to have the bigger step, only because JJ didn't have a bad rookie year, and Ruckert's coming from barely playing.
Yeah, I definitely expect Ruckert to make a bigger jump because, he's starting off on a lower level than Johnson. And the fact that you're adding all this offensive talent around, I guess the bigger thing that I'm wondering about with this question, Kev, is who's going to get more playing time? Who's going to get a bigger snap count? Because they're both going to be used in certain types of situations, right? But with Ruckert, you have to watch closely because it's not like with Johnson, it's more than just about sacks, right? But with Ruckert, it's about more than just receptions and touchdowns. You also have to watch him block, and that's why I pointed out his run blocking earlier. So yeah, with these types of players, you got to look a little bit more in depth because it's not a situation where they have to do something flashy in order to be productive.
That's a good one.
All right, Mess.
That's a good one.
By the way, super chats are appreciated.
It's weird to get a call from a number from 408 because
we broke this month. But...
Chris Bradigan is the Giants.
Bradigan. That's the biggest Jet fan in Kenosha, Wisconsin, my man.
Yeah. So 96 or 98. That sounds pretty good to me.
It does.
That's right.
Yeah. I think really the biggest knock on JJ was just people who only look at one stat line. Like, like especially people who aren't Jet fans. Like, oh, well, JJ didn't turn out so good, did he? People ask me that aren't Jet fans. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, he only got this many sacks or something. And I said, you don't watch Jet games, man. Like, that's not how they use them. It's simply, that's not what. Yeah, he didn't get many opportunities. When you look at the percentage of snaps that he got, and you look at the game situation when he was in the game, he simply didn't have the opportunities to get sacks.
I saw a lot of people, especially towards the end of the season, they were very hard on Carl Lawson. They was like, oh, he didn't this amount of sacks, and I'm like, dude, if you guys watch the game, the guy literally was held at least twice every game, and they just didn't call it. Like, I was losing my top. my sons, he'll tell you, man. I was like, dude, like, they're not calling the effing. Yeah, like Carl Lawson was held almost every game, and they just did not call it for him.
So was Bryce Huff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Buffalo drive when he took that guy Quesenberry, took him to school as the Jets were closing out that game. The 2 plays before that, he was getting held.
Right.
And again, will the Jets this year finally get a roughing the passer called on us when the offense is on the field? We
Aaron Rodgers is here.
Last season.
Aaron Rodgers is here.
Not one. Can we get one this year, please?
Oh man.
The only reason you don't see one if it doesn't happen is because they don't even hit Rodgers late because they know better.
True.
True. I like that. Yeah,
True.
Those out of bound hits. Yeah, forget 15-yard penalties. We're talking suspensions now.
Right.
Oh, that's like nobody wants to be known as a guy that took out like
Aaron Rodgers
on a Hall of Fame guy. You don't want that.
Right.
As opposed to if you hit Zach Wilson out of bounds, you're doing the league a favor.
Right. Right. No one cares or is going to hate you forever for that, right? You get away with that kind of stuff. That's why Brady, guys like that, nobody wants to be the name associated with a cheap late hit that took a player like that out of the league. And don't be surprised. I know I'm not kidding about this. The NFL owners, whatever, like even though it's illegal to conspire and stuff like that, we know that they do it.
Mm-hmm.
We know that in every sport it happens.
Yes.
You're the player that out a Hall of Famer, a superstar in the NFL. Even like right now, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Burrows, any of the stars. You take out a star in this league with a late cheap shot, there's going to be a grudge held by the entire NFL.
I agree.
Like it will impact you, and I think the players know that.
Those guys sell tickets.
Yeah,
all the fantasy stuff, the gambling, the TV all this, the merchandise, all of that matters. Yeah, it all matters. But if you look, I actually pulled up the snap counts from last year. Talk about the defensive line. We got to remember, Bryce Huff did not play the first 3 games of last season, and it wasn't because of injury. He was just not active.
Garrett Wilson.
Well, Wilson didn't start off playing too much at first, but it did increase. But remember, we had to force feed Lawrence Cager to start that game, but that's neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. Do we ever remember that Jacob Martin was playing like a third of the team's defensive snaps the first 4 weeks?
I forgot about him.
I know, right?
That's
Jacob
crazy.
Martin. Vinny Curry came in later on in the season. He was playing a lot. Curry played like 22% of the snaps, but JJ among defensive ends played the 3rd most snaps among defensive ends last year for the Jets, behind Lawson and JFM. So JJ was getting his opportunities, and they kept going up as the year was going on. I mean, Week 17, he played 50% of the snaps. Week 18, played 38% of the snaps. So, yeah, he was definitely playing. So there was a comment. I'm saying that in response to the one comment where I don't think that any defensive end will get more than 40% of the snaps. Well, Carl Lawson played. I don't have the whole total here, but Lawson and JFM are going to play. Don't worry about that. They will play.
Right, and Quinn.
Right. Well, I was about defensive end, but defensive tackle.
Oh,
obviously. Quinn had skyrocketed. He's in his own category. Yeah, for sure. He's in his own category, but he still plays around 65 to 70% of the snaps. And we remember the one game he didn't play. I want to say it was the Detroit game he didn't play.
Mhm.
Is that
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And we saw that the defense
difference.
was nowhere near the same.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we had to start like Nathan Shepard and Solomon Thomas. It was excruciating.
Well, he played as well and was arguably the best defensive tackle in the NFL last year. So, and that showed. You're right. It showed when he wasn't there. It was a different defense. But also, to me, the big change in the defense, aside from the Quinnen Williams blow up on the sideline, which I think really lit a fire under the entire defense, specifically the line.
Mhm.
I think the other change was Bryce Huff. They weren't
True.
using Bryce Huff when they brought
True.
Bryce Huff in. It was a different defensive line because in passing situations, Bryce Huff would come in opposite of Lawson, and if it wasn't Lawson, it was Huff, and if it wasn't those guys, it was Quinnen. But it was like they were terrorizing quarterbacks. But that was the difference between last year and the year before that. The difference in our defense was on third down, we were now able to get off the field because all of a sudden we were pushing teams backwards because of the defensive line, and we were making big plays on third down. But it's hard to stop teams when everything where every third down is a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You give the other team too many options when it's like that. It's gotta be 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, things like that. Take away those options.
Do you guys think we have the right guy to replace Rankins?
I think that we addressed the defensive line a little bit differently than we had it set up last year, where Rankins was a little bit more of a two-way player. Instead, we signed one guy who's more of a run stuffer and one guy who's more of a pass rusher. Now we let Shepard go as well, so who's more of the run stuffer? Well, he was more of a workout guy more than anything. But hey, he got that contract, I believe, from New Orleans. God bless him, or wherever it was. Yeah, I mean, it would have made no sense to pay him that kind of money.
No, not at all.
We'll have to see. Yeah, we're going to have to see. But put it this way, I'm not sold on the defensive tackle situation after Quinnen. I think it's going to take some very heavy rotation going on. But I'm glad Solomon Thomas is down to basically the 4th defensive tackle. I think that's a big reason that they had Michael Clemens put that weight on, put that extra size on.
Yes.
I wonder if we watch these snap counts, because I like to watch that, as the season progresses, where Michael Clemens is going to be getting more snaps, if it's going to be on the outside or if he's really going to start to play inside. I would not be surprised if he basically winds up getting more snaps inside than, say, Al Woods does as the year goes on.
I would love to see Clemens play on the inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do it with Myers. They're not going to do it with JFM, but I think they would do it with Clemens because he's more of a natural run stopper anyway, as opposed to a pass rusher. So
the guy has a high motor, man. I'm a huge fan of Clemens.
Yeah. No, he's built to play on the inside too.
He
can
is
definitely play on the inside, and like him and Q together,
nasty,
both
nasty,
both of them. I mean, man, and if they double Q, then you'll see Clemens be a serious disruptor. You can't double Q or focus on Q and leave Clemens just one-on-one with some guard. Like he's gonna eat the guy alive.
And good luck trying to guard Lawson one-on-one. That guy looks like an animal right now. You see the muscles he's put on, like, gee whiz, man.
They look great. If you look at Clemens and Lawson right now, they look great. They look
do.
Great.
They do, man.
Wow. Yeah, they look almost as good as we do, the three of us. I mean, it's pretty comfortable.
Oh my God, man. I can't with that guy, man.
The reason the McDonald's pick doesn't surprise me after the fact, when I think about it, right, looking back at it and reflecting, is because we've said it so many times ourselves since Saleh took over this team. The defense is so predicated on pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we watched with pressure, we hit the top 5. Without pressure, that was 2 years ago. We were the 32nd. We're the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they're constantly going to keep that pipeline and that funnel running.
Mm-hmm.
That they're always going to make sure that they have elite defensive linemen. They're always going to do that.
They will always draft an offensive lineman, and they will always draft a defensive lineman in the draft, as long as
I
they
agree.
have like more than say 4 or 5 picks. They will
I agree.
always do that. Or think about drafting. Oh, hey Dom C, how you doing? Project Prospect. Okay.
Well, I mean, we still got him for 3 more solid years, though.
That's true.
I mean,
And if
like,
he's a
right?
good defensive tackle, they can play into the early 30s easy.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry me.
I mean,
What's up, Dom C?
We definitely have him for another. Dom C. Like, we got him for another 3 seasons. It's just that he's not one of those guys, like Dom C is saying, that's going to give you 10 years.
True.
Because he started at 25.
Right.
But I could see him, playing, until he's 30, 31. You're right. Like, we might extend him, or when he's a free agent, like, sign him for like 2 more years or something, a 3-year deal, 2 guaranteed, something like that. And yeah, it's not going to be a long career. Hopefully it'll be just one filled with quality play.
And is it crazy to think that we couldn't find, especially defensive tackle, a gem who's undrafted? It seems like every year the Jets have 1 or 2 players that make the roster that are UDFAs. And for so long, it felt like that was never something that we were able to do, is get legitimate players out of that undrafted free agent spot, like a Bryce Huff. I mean, Isaiah Dunn didn't work out as well as we would have hoped, but we're seeing some guys who can contribute. Bam Knight, another great example.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember the last time I was this confident in the Jets front office. I don't think I ever have been, to be honest with you. In the 30 plus years I've been watching, I mean, guys, when was the last time that you felt legitimately confident, not just in the ability to draft, but to make trades, scout, sign free agents, whether they cost a lot of money or an under the radar type of guy? Is Joe Douglas batting 1,000? Absolutely not. But there have been very few things that I would call serious misses. I mean, drafting Zach Wilson was one, but I don't think they necessarily put him in a position to succeed.
True.
And Joe Douglas has acknowledged as such at this point. But this team is good at recognizing talent and what they need to win games for this coaching staff. And when everybody's working together, when everybody's in synergy, it gives you a much better chance of having a winning organization.
I think the evidence of that is, I mean, his best finds, right, are not the big splashy ones. Like DJ Reed was a grand slam.
Whew.
It was
Oh
a
my
grand
gosh.
slam.
I didn't know how many people out here on the East Coast knew who DJ Reed was before the Jets
I
signed
did
for
not.
him.
I
I didn't know him.
I did not.
I didn't know him.
Nope.
So he got to, he brings in DJ Reed, but it's not over there. And you're right. He gets an undrafted free agent. It's like an average of 1 a year, right? I mean, we got Huff, and then, then last year we get Bam Knight. Don't forget, we got John Franklin Myers, JFM.
Off the waiver
True.
wire.
He was
We
on the
did.
waiver wire.
True.
We got
Quincy.
Quincy.
Like it.
Out of nowhere, we got Quincy,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Quan, right? We got him for practically free.
Dwayne Brown did cost a little bit of money. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but he served his purpose.
Right. He definitely was a good signing. And
Nick Bawden at fullback. I love Nick Bawden. I mean, a lot of us do. The guy can block. He's a beast, and he was a good special teams player. Go ahead,
And don't forget Mike White. And I know people might scarf at that, but Mike White is getting paid $8 million right now to be the backup in Miami. He's making twice the amount that Mayfield is making. And
That's crazy.
Brought a team to the playoffs 2 years
That
ago.
is crazy.
I mean, he's making as much as Jacob Brissett, and it's because, I mean, he was injury prone, and that was the problem. I mean, I can't blame him for the injury against Buffalo. I mean, nobody is built in a way that you're going to take a hit like that and your ribs
Right.
not break. But the reality is, Mike White was a really good, impressive pickup. When you pick up a guy for nothing that doesn't have a job in the quarterback position, and then he ends up, as soon as he's a free agent, he ends up getting $8 million to be a backup quarterback. That's top pay for a backup quarterback.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
Another good signing was Morgan Moses as well by JD.
He was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't mind letting him go, though, to be honest. I felt like he was very good. He was very good in some ways and not good at all in other ways. But for 1 year, it was a fine signing. But I didn't have any problem moving on.
I think being a Jets fan, one of my main concerns with the O line is just being available, and that's one thing I loved about Morgan Moses, just being available, being a guy who started in the NFL, been in the NFL for years, and he, has that durability about himself. So I was high on that. You guys know what we switched like 5, 6, or 7 times, different starting offensive linemen last year. Like that was absolutely bananas.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I got to say this every single week, but I'll keep saying it. By the end of the year, we were starting Cedric Obuye and Mike Remmers at tackle.
That is awful, man. That is awful.
I mean,
Those guys couldn't even get in the door right now. Okay?
Right.
people don't understand. You could take any team in the NFL. If you start the season by taking away their stud young left tackle or whatever, the guy that was supposed to be the guy, take that guy out of the equation. Then you take out their right tackle. And then the guy that replaced the young guy that got hurt is playing with a shoulder where he can't raise his arm above his head, right? And then you take out the best offensive lineman on the team who's been jumping around playing everywhere, and now in AVT, and he's gone for the season. And it's the rookie that came in at right tackle gets blood clots, and he's taken out. You're freaking 5 tackles deep. The only person that's playing where they're supposed to be playing from when you first went into training camp is your center. I mean, it's kind of like
your left guard.
Your left guard, yeah.
One NFL team would go through that and be okay. Like, when you think about it, look what happened to the Colts just because they didn't even have that many injuries. They just didn't play as well. Their offensive line probably the apex. They started to go downhill a little bit, and look what happened to that team.
Unbelievable.
Look how far they fell off the cliff because their offensive line stopped playing.
It was amazing. I don't know if you guys ever go on the website Sporkle, which is like a quiz website about all kinds of different categories. It's kind of like I like going on Sporkle, and they have a lot of different types of quizzes, including sports. It'll be like name everybody who or whatever. A good Sporkle quiz one day will be name every Jets offensive tackle during the 2022 season. It'll be like 9, 10 guys, and like half the list. It's going to be like. And it shows you at the end the percentage you got right versus everybody else. The average percentage is going to be like 30%. Like a year from now, it's going to be the most obscure names that no one is ever going to remember. Did we improve our offensive line? You're damn right we did.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah.
I think we improved our offensive line greatly. You can't underestimate that Becton is 340 and looking great and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand we had horrible luck and he got hurt 2 years in a row, and that was brutally bad luck last year getting hurt. I understand that. But he's healthy right now. He's coming in fully healthy with a full thumbs up, from the doctors. So it's not like he's very likely to get hurt or more. I mean, the first time his own player, fell on his knee would have been any player that got hurt. The second time last year, it was just a horrible bad luck situation. So getting Becton back is a big improvement, obviously. I think the guy we drafted was supposed to be a second-round pick. He just got hurt in college.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up adding another good tackle. Max Mitchell has now got a clean bill of health. We saw that he did very well for a rookie last year. Dwayne is now healthy and got the shoulder taken care of. I think that now that we have McGovern and Tippmann, now McGovern becomes a backup center and backup guard if you need him. So yeah, I think that we're really deep. I'm forgetting people that we've added.
Guys,
I think we have a lot of depth at guard too.
I'll break it down. I mean, we have an 11 deep offensive line right now. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Who do we have at tackle? Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton, Billy Turner, Carter Warren, Max Mitchell. That's 5 tackles who can legitimately play, we think, who have at least shown signs or were drafted high. They're not scrubs. I mean, these guys these aren't guys who came from like Alcorn State or something like that. They're legitimate players. At guard, who have you got? Laken Tomlinson, Elijah Vera Tucker, Wes Schweitzer, Tristan Colon. Mm-hmm. Schweitzer and Colon came over, and Colon's a little bit more of a center. Schweitzer more of a guard. I think Colon is one guy I think is going to go now that we brought Connor McGovern back. But then you throw in Tippmann and McGovern. I mean, you are legitimately 2 deep at every single offensive line position, 3 deep in some as well. So even if there is an injury on the offensive line, again, I got confidence they can plug somebody in to hold their own. Now, God forbid we lose AVT again or a player like that. Some guys are more, are less dispensable than others.
Any team in the NFL is facing that situation.
It's not like we're putting in freaking Wayne Hunter, guys.
Right. Right. Or Freeney.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Adoga.
Chimadoga or Colin Baxter. You guys remember Colin Baxter?
I mean, and I don't blame Jake. Jake, I don't blame you for being a little shell shocked and nervous. I am too. With Becton, I'm going to be nervous anytime Becton doesn't pop right. We've had to deal with those injuries, but I'm just saying, once you're healthy, now you're healthy. I don't believe in that. Like, there's not like a magical thing. I think that if he was 370, then we could start saying, oh no, we should worry because he's carrying an extra 30 pounds and makes it more likely he'll get hurt. But at 340, I don't want him any smaller with his height, because if he's any smaller, he's not going to be able to be a tackle in the NFL.
There you go.
Like, he's so thin.
He'll be a tight end.
Right.
In this offense.
Well, look, I mean, AVT could get hurt. We can't prevent that. Every team in the NFL has an offensive lineman they would be absolutely devastated to lose and not want to lose, right? I mean, every good team has a guy that, man, it would really suck for them if this guy gets hurt. It's just when you have star players, that's just the nature of the game. And that's, all we could do is, did JD do a good job in building as much depth as possible so we have competent players when the injuries happen to come in? Now, 2 years ago, we had no depth at all in almost every room. There was no depth. Right. We were an injury away from, and we saw it at wide receiver year 1. We saw it in almost every position. Right? Year 2, it got a little bit better because our offensive line was actually holding up through some of those injuries. This year, I'm having trouble thinking of a room that isn't prepared and doesn't have depth. And that's what, that excites me. I mean, safety and linebacker might be the biggest concerns, where if you get an injury to a key linebacker or a key safety, then we got something to worry about because we don't have a ton of depth at those positions as far as guys we believe in and have total confidence in.
I mean, corner, I'd have some concerns at cornerback as well. You got to throw this. I mean, after Sauce and Reed, I mean, and NMC too, how much do we really have to work with? Because Eccles, right, and Eccles is suspended for 1 game, right? And as much as Bryce Hall, I think the only reason Bryce Hall is going to start the season with the team is because Eccles is suspended. I'm just I'm uneasy about the depth in the cornerback room.
As a CB5 who's not going to dress a lot, if it's like last year, Bryce Hall, let's look at everybody's cornerback 5 in the NFL. Guys that aren't dressing.
He's clear cut the number 1, right?
And compared to all those guys,
right?
That's okay.
Yeah. He played a full season and wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible.
Jeremy, this is like being the thinnest one at a Weight Watchers convention. Come on.
No, but I'm saying it's.
I know.
We all thought that the cornerback situation was going to be a lot worse than it was in 21. Didn't we?
Yeah, even though in practice, some of the practice reports I've seen, Hall's been getting beat quite often. It seems
I've heard
he's just not been the same player. Like ever since Kyle Pitts abused him, in that exhibition game, it's like his stock has dropped. And man, that's a guy we all really want to see succeed. We love the story. And his first year, he was a really good player. But oh boy, I got to be honest with you. Like I said, if Eccles wasn't being suspended, I think Hall would be my surprise cut from the 53. I would really, believe it or not, I would go there.
Well, it's possible only because it's possible for a good reason. Because we got a really good team. It's not easy to make our team. Why do I think I'm frozen?
I don't know if your show's frozen.
I can see
show's frozen. Yeah, our bad mojo spread over the show. It must be, hey, Jeremy, it must be the California internet, and we're just way down from Sacramento. It finally invaded where he is.
I pushed it down.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
the safety position scares me because I feel like if Whitehead was to get hurt, for example, it could be a problem.
oh, there we go. Holy crap!
Hey, I'm in Sacramento too, guys.
That's what I said. I said the bad internet's working its way down from Germany, and it's made its way down to SoCal, and boom, there you go. Holy crap! The Mets actually won. Wow!
Wow,
They actually won a game. Oh, they beat. Sorry, so they split the series. Okay,
it's a miracle.
it's a miracle. It's a miracle. Anything can happen. I got to be honest, guys. There is one thing that does concern me, and maybe it's just this mojo thing. Maybe it's my ability to expect the worst as a sports fan. But I knew, like, as a Mets fan, when Edwin Diaz went down, that this season was in a lot of trouble. I know Chuck Clark is not the same in terms of being valuable, but last year the defense was super, super healthy. And the fact that somebody's gone down likely for the season already, I know they signed Amos, but I don't know. There's just something about that. It's just like, oh, is the defense going to have to deal with injury issues this year? So, guys, please do me a favor. Please talk some sense into me that this is not a sign of things to come, please.
I just think there's nothing we could do. Like, I think it's just one of those things where we just have to go in believing every year that, you know, the law of averages will average out, and we're not going to be more injured than any other team, and we'll finally just fall into the middle of the pack and deal with it like every other team. That's, you know, I just can't believe it's humanly possible that every year we're going to continually be the most battered, injured team in the NFL. I just, you know, so that's how I deal with it. Just believing that you know, we'll just be an average team, and we're built for the normal amount of injuries that come in the NFL. I think we have the depth, you know, and we're prepared for the average amount of injuries that happen. And I don't think any team is.
Sure.
Sacramento.
Only East Coast Internet's working tonight, guys. What can I tell you? Hey, Jeremy, next time you get frozen, do my Thursday pose.
Oh my God, man.
Maybe it doesn't
guys,
have configuration. Hold on.
Guys,
Yeah.
quick question, and then I'm gonna have to jet downstairs with wifey. She's ready to eat.
Go for it.
Question for each of you guys. Record prediction. Start with Y2K.
Okay, so where I am right now, I'm thinking 3-3 after the bye, but a little bit of a hot streak. I don't think they're just playing so many good teams that it does worry me. I think they're going to go 11-6.
Okay.
And I think that AFC East is really going to beat up on one another. I think they're going to have pretty close records, the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. I think the three of them will finish no more than one game apart. Like, they'll all have 10 or 11 wins. I do think the Jets will make the playoffs as a wild card team. I won't go past that, but I do think the Jets make the playoffs, and it's going to be 11-6 as a final record.
Bonus question. Are we the top dogs in our division?
I'm gonna say no. I still think Buffalo's just a little bit too good, but I think it's gonna maybe come down to like a tiebreaker, like a division record, something like that. But I think they're gonna finish tied. So that's how bold I'm going. The Jets and Bills will finish tied. Buffalo gets the tiebreaker. Jets have the top wild card. Maybe the top. What the hell? Let's say they get like one of the top wild cards. They go to say Jacksonville and beat the crap out of them in the first round. How about that?
I love it.
And then who knows?
What about you, Jeremy?
12-5.
Okay.
Same record as the Bills. Comes down to a tiebreaker. Don't know. You know, it's going to be a toss-up on who it is. But we're going to the Bills and the Jets are going to finish on top at 12-5. Is my prediction.
Okay. It's pretty close.
Right.
How about you, Show?
I'm stuck at 11 wins. Being honest, yeah. I was stuck at 11. I was talking to my son a couple of days ago, and I told him the same thing. I said, dude, like, that first couple of games was going to be brutal. Mm-hmm. And I said, I just don't see us dominating, like, all of them. I said, we'll probably come out with a few of those wins. I said, but overall, I said, I can see us with 11 wins easy.
Yeah. And so here's what I got going on. So we played New England week 3, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The weekend after that is my 20-year college reunion up in Boston.
Oh, nice.
I have not been in Boston in about 19 years.
Wow.
So I plan on going up for a couple of days. It sure as hell better be coming off a Jets win. It better be coming off a win.
You won't hear the end of it.
Oh, no chance. There's no shot. If they win, believe me, the rental car, I'll be putting Jet stickers on that damn thing, on the bumper. I don't care. And it's a rental car, so they vandalize it. I don't give a shit.
Nice. I'm thinking about attending the first game. My wife's birthday is September 11th, so we're thinking about coming to New York Monday night for her birthday, season opener. Like to me, it's just no better than that. So she's all game. She's she's a Seahawks fan, but she does support the Jets.
Okay.
She might be in the chat, so don't kill me, babe.
It's not that big of a deal to have a team that you support in the other conference. I mean,
right.
I don't think there's any major issue with that. Just as long as when the two teams do play each other, you got your priorities straight.
True.
I believe that Gunny's wife deep down wants the Jets to win. She just doesn't want him to know that she wants the Jets to win.
Right.
So that's just my thought.
Because she's a Packers fan, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason we call her Green Bay, as in BAE. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh my God, man. Well, guys, as always, it's good to see you guys. It's always good to be on here. I'm going downstairs to entertain the wife with a movie and dinner. All right. And of course, I would love to come back and see you guys again.
Happy wife, happy life. You're welcome anytime. You know how to reach me.
Absolutely.
Whenever you're interested in coming on.
We look forward
All right, guys.
Thanks for joining.
All right, guys. Enjoy your day.
Good night.
Take care, brother.
All right.
And that was the Jet Show.
Man.
Who's the master?
He knows how to put on a show, doesn't he?
He knows how to put on a show.
He does.
So if anybody doesn't know, he got the name Show, SHO, from a movie called The Last Dragon. And the villain's name was Shonuff. And he'd scream at everybody walking through Harlem, "Who's the master?" And everybody would go, "Shonuff."
The Last Dragon, that was like a Bruce Lee movie or something?
Well, but it wasn't Bruce Lee. It's this guy called Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy, yeah. Actually, I saw him at a Ring of Honor wrestling event I once went to. He was making appearances. I'm like, Bruce Leroy. Okay.
It was a funny as hell movie, man. It's just funny as hell movie.
It sounds like one of those movies you need to be on something to really, really enjoy it, like one of those shark movies. Sounds like the same thing.
I mean, I was young at the time and I loved it, but I guess now that I'm older, I guess that might be true. So
nice. All right. Well, did you have any other? Wait a second. What did Jake say? Jake's moving down to Virginia. Yeah. Jake, where in Virginia are you moving to? Yes, I live in Newport News, some down the southeast area in the Hampton Roads region. So Green Bean is outside Charlottesville, so that's in the middle of the state. I'm down in the southeast, and yeah, we've got a really big fan club down there. And yeah, I'm the president of the Virginia Jets Fans Club. So yeah, just look us up. Hey, anybody wants to look us up, even if you don't live in Virginia, check out on Facebook, Virginia Jets Fans. And, hit the join button. And once I determine you're an actual human being and not a bot or a troll, we'll be happy to let you in. One of our administrators, his ex-wife tried to get in. And he shut that down like within 3 seconds. It was like, I'd never seen a request deleted so quickly than when his ex-wife tried to join this afternoon.
That's hysterical.
It was very amusing.
I'm looking forward to
Fredericksburg. Okay, so you're going to be up a little bit. Yeah, Fredericksburg's up more towards DC. Jake, I would say this. There is also, you're always welcome to come and hang with us, but you've also got the Capital Jets fans in DC, and they meet at a bar called the Irish Times in Chinatown. I am not making that up. It's the Irish Bar in Chinatown. It's right. Yeah, it's true. I actually I watched a game with them once. Great group.
I lived in DC for like 6-7 months. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're up there. Yeah. So the Irish Times, it's right by the Capital One Center. So very easy to access. But yeah, it's up in the Chinatown section. Amato is the leader of their group. Fantastic guy. So, but Feel free to hang with either one of us.
Yeah. Eventually I'll make it out to Phoenix, Arizona, so I can hang out with those guys.
I love Arizona. Man, I've been in Arizona so long, but I love the Southwest. I really do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm a week away from my Philly trip. Well, 9 days, I guess. Yeah, I'll still be here for the Wednesday and Thursday shows. But yeah, I started investing. I'm getting a cell phone holder.
You're going to Philly when I first get to North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I'll be heading up there. I'll be there Friday through Sunday. So I got the cell phone holder because I'm going to record the trip just like I did in New Jersey. I'm starting to get like some music together and some sound clips. To do some stuff like that. Just finding where I could download some music from and working on some different stuff. But I will admit it will probably be a much more food video than it will be a baseball video. But I'm really excited to do that. And hey, then I got a 6-hour train ride to put the whole thing together. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. If he's still here, let me see if I can get him a link. Kind of. Let's see something here. Yeah, no, look, I think it's exciting that you're going. I'm excited about my North Carolina trip. I got 2 trips to North Carolina. I'm going to be coming out a second time, probably in September.
During the season?
I mean, I guess it's during the season, yeah.
Or during Labor Day, because the season starts September 11th. So would it be the week prior to that, during Labor Day?
No, it'll be after Labor Day.
Okay.
Like in the middle of September or something.
Oh, so you'll definitely be down there during the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a second trip down there because to help out with my family. So
gotcha. All right. Cool.
So so I'll be broadcasting from there and doing all my shows from there, normal stuff. Still haven't worked out what games we're going to. Because I still don't know which game. Has Green Bean picked a game yet? Do you know?
I don't think anybody's picked a game yet. Yeah, the Talking Jets crew. I mean, they're trying to narrow it down, but I don't really think they've made a final decision yet.
Okay, like I'm waiting for that decision to know.
Not to my knowledge, unless they decided Tuesday night, and I just wasn't there for it. But
because that's the week to target, like that. Obviously, when because me and Green Bean again. When we stay in New York, we stay 5 minutes from each other in Staten Island. So then it takes care of.
Yeah. And with everything going on with my situation, I don't know if I'll be going to any games this year. I just don't really think I'm in a position to be doing that. I mean, between the Philly trip and I really want to do homecoming, I feel like that's going to be my big things this year. If something crazy happens, maybe I could do a day trip. But as far as like an extended thing, I don't know if that's going to happen this season. So it's just, I don't know. Never say never. Never say never. But right now, I feel like I got to save up after all I've been through in the last month or so.
Yeah, I know. You got to do your financial recovery from that. It sucks.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Unless I'm in the same boat. Like, because, I'm switching careers and that's not easy.
Well, nobody wants to hear all this stuff about our personal lives. So.
Yeah. Well, I was just feeling time, guys. I'm going to make an introduction here. Last time I froze out and it was destroyed. And no one got to really enjoy it. So let's do this right now.
All right,
ladies and gentlemen, this man, he's the man. This man is the sweet talking, prospecting, analytical, analyzing, season ticket holding, food loving, Italian fathering, greatest friend, co-host, and YouTube content provider in the world.
What's up, gents?
Hey, what happened, Dom? No Marlins hat tonight?
No, I'm rocking the military Mets after that win.
Nice. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it after the. I didn't want to watch it while the show was on. I wanted to focus on the show.
Well, but, I won't spill the beans then.
I already know what happened. Don't worry about it. I already know. I just got to actually see it. I got to see the details, but.
Just don't watch Isaiah Kiner falafel.
Yeah.
Steal home on us like you did tonight.
Oh, you know what? There it is right there. I just saw it. On the 7th inning. I just saw the darn thing.
Yeah, man. So what's up, guys?
Man, I don't know. Who you prospecting? So what happens right now to you after the draft is over? I mean, are you working on next year's crop? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm actually, to be honest with you, Adam, I'm diving into some 24 prospects. That's what I was doing here. I had you guys on the side as I was I had some film up. Very interesting wide receiver I was watching. I'll give you guys a little cut. His name is Bru McCoy.
Bru.
Yeah, Bru. B-R-U McCoy. He's a wide receiver from Tennessee. Big guy, 6'3", 220 pounds, like your prototypical X. Just kind of was not in the spotlight last year because playing in Tennessee, they had two, big time wide receivers in Tillman and Jalen Hyatt. So he was like the third option on that offense, and he's a very, very polarizing prospect. So I'm just diving in, man. That's the plan, is to get as much of a head start on my draft guide, which I got done last year. I just couldn't. Technically, I'm not proficient enough to put it all together to present. So I'm starting earlier on it this year so I can get somebody to help do that part of it. I know Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 said he's going to help me out. So yeah, I'm looking to have 300 to 400 prospects done for the draft guide coming out in March.
Nice. Does your approach change at all from last year to this year, considering the Jets don't have a first-round pick?
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. I'm still going to review prospects that are going to be the out of reach. I'm gonna try to put my fingers on as many guys or watch as much film as I can. But this guy, interestingly enough, is a guy that I kind of chose out of hat because I think he's someone that could be there. He's right now. I mean, it's so early. It's June. The season hasn't even started. But just based on a bunch of factors, one being his age, one being that he did get into some alleged trouble, which caused a transfer. He started at USC, transferred to Texas, and before he even stepped foot on the field in Texas, he started at USC. Transferred to Texas. Before he even stepped foot on the field in Austin, he transferred to Tennessee because he got in some trouble. So that, along with him, not being the super athlete, he's your prototypical X guy. So that's why I picked him. He's a guy that I think fits what the Jets mold in this new Nathaniel Hackett offense is going to be. Big guy, big body, versatile. Can play the boundary, can be one of those big slots, phenomenal downfield blocker, blocks in perimeter very well, silky smooth hands, I was really pleasantly surprised. Not the most athletic guy I've ever seen, but so far so good, man.
All right, fantastic, man. You getting ahead of it, man. Who else, outside of like the mainstream guys, how many guys are guys who do the work on next year in advance, man? You're dedicated. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, that's just my niche, Dan. That's my thing,
That's you go forward, you go way forward, and I go way back for the trivia. That's how it works.
That's just the kind of what is my comfort zone. So that's what I do, man.
I sit in the middle and collect all the knowledge.
Yeah, how much longer are you going to leech off both of us, Jeremy? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So, my job is not to be the information guy. My job is I'm the color man.
You're the point guard. You know how to pass the ball. You know how to distribute. You're a very skilled distributor. You make the whole show run. Yeah, and which is a great place to be.
Let me tell you, and I'll say this, and I'll pay that pound of compliment to you, Jeremy. Adam said that, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I think there's a true gift in being the facilitator. Not everyone can do it. I'm much more comfortable being Robin to Batman, and you handle the Batman very well, the lead, the kind of the glue that brings everything together in the show.
Well, I appreciate that, Tom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. And it's like, and I wouldn't be able to do it alone. I mean, I owe all of you guys, my friends, everyone that comes on the channel so often, so much gratitude, because there'd be nothing to facilitate. facilitate if it wasn't for you guys.
Your internet's going down.
Start
Again.
facilitating your internet, please.
Yeah.
My
Hey,
back,
not to take over the show, but I do want to answer Jake's question here in the chat.
Yeah.
sure.
I don't want to turn this into a prospect thing, but I do agree with Jake in regards to Tennessee's offense is so wonky, man. They run, stacks and splits, and they put their wide receivers. I mean, it's smart. It's forward thinking in a sense that they put guys in motion and have these weird alignments to set up the best matchups for them. So to your question, Jake, he's not necessarily a deep threat. Depending on where you've seen, he hasn't really officially tested yet. They thought he was going to come out last year. He was eligible to come out last year, but he didn't. He's going back this year. So I've seen him, score anywhere from, some publications have him at mid 4.4s. Some publications have him at high 4.5s. I see on film a very good route runner. He's not a deep threat necessarily. I'd liken him to a poor man's Drake London. A big body, but a yak guy, a guy who can make people miss after the catch. I was actually what I was doing this evening is I broke down 2 of his games as a freshman from when he was at USC, and it's phenomenal. You're gonna have a video coming out. I have a video coming out soon about it, so hopefully you get to watch it and make your own assessment.
Love it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's early, so
way early.
Anything can change by his performance. What if he has like record-breaking numbers this year?
You're absolutely right. Listen, he could play him. He can play himself into that day one realm very easily. But if I had to throw a dart early in June, I'd probably say he's a third, fourth round talent. Not the most shifty, not the most athletic.
Grandizer is so
Hey,
funny.
Grandizer.
He's waiting. We never got to finish all the positions, and so that's what he's waiting for.
Yeah, well, Grandizer, Jeremy and I chose just to on the Sunday Jets draft show, chose to not address the quarterbacks because we knew that it wasn't going to be a position of need. And I can tell you, as many players game film as I watched, I did not watch one punter, kicker, or long snapper, so that ain't happening.
Dude, do you have any idea how ready I was for you to say, yeah, for this long snapper, my player comp is like Thomas Hennessy or Trey Junkin?
Yeah.
Or Zach Diassi. I would have paid for that one.
Is there a ranking for long snappers? I mean, is there something that is Hennessy ranked highly amongst long snappers?
He's been in the league a long time. That's about how you vote a Pro Bowl long snapper. I mean, they got to figure out a way.
So just like a catcher in baseball, catcher in baseballs defensively are really, one of the metrics that they use is they call the pop time, and that's the time from when they receive the ball at home plate to when they release the ball, right? You want to have a catcher wants to have a pop time about 1.8 seconds is good. Anything under that is very good. They do the same thing with long snappers. You have to be, to be in a position to get the ball from when you snap it to the punter's hands or to the holder's hands. They time you on that. So there is a metric that they use to determine who is, if you can withstand being a snapper in the NFL. Very interesting, right? Not really, but
I can't wait to watch that combine next year.
I mean, I just wonder what it's like for him. Like, how much does he have to participate in everything? I mean, like, is he actually sitting there in the room? Like, are they after games, they look at the film and say maybe 2 more inches, to the outside of that snap.
Listen, I'm sure there's a very honed in skill to snap the ball effectively in the NFL. I just don't know what they would do at practice outside of snap for the punters and the kickers, whatever the punters and kickers are doing at practice, right?
Well, they got to stay strong to block too, right? Because you do have to block.
Yeah. And listen, and you got to be agile. You got to be athletic because you got to snap and then you got to break and make a tackle. I mean, most of the time, especially now that you can't cover the snapper. You know, they used to put 2 or 3 bodies on the snapper. One guy would hit him high, one guy would hit him low, and one guy would jump over him. Now you can't cover the long snapper, so they get almost a free release. So it's those guys that are down there making a lot of the tackles. You know?
Is there any team that just uses their backup center or even their starting center?
I don't know. I don't think anybody uses their starting center. No.
It's always a designated player because I guess you don't
Yeah.
want to risk them getting injured on one of those plays.
So there was a tackle that came out in last draft. What was his name? I think he was from Old Dominion. Nick Solidar.
Oliveri. Oh yeah, I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, he was a long snapper as well. And like in college, he snapped.
The ODU
as well.
guy. Of course, I know the ODU guys.
Yeah, so I don't know, and he actually snapped at I believe it was the Senior Bowl. I think he was snapping as well. I don't know if that's going to translate into him doing it in the NFL. He was drafted in the 3rd round to play tackle, and my guess is that he's not going to do that in the NFL. But
Emergency backup, though. They ever needed.
That's right.
It could be. Yeah, the Saints took him. I think it was the first pick. I want to say the 4th round. And the reason I remember this is because we were doing the chili cook-off on Saturday with the Virginia Jets fans. We're watching the draft, and when the first player picked was from ODU, I mean, we were partying like the Jets had just won a game. We were so happy that an ODU guy got picked for. By the way, everybody, the fact that it is now 11:37 Eastern Time, we're breaking down the attributes of long snappers. If you're still here with us, God bless you.
That's right. God bless you.
All I can say.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
go ahead, facilitator.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
Jeremy's freezing again.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Shoot. Am I back?
You're
Yes,
back. You're back. What's going on? Is there storms out there in Sacramento?
No, I think I thought in the beginning it was maybe my wife, working out with the Peloton and using up internet bandwidth, but it's not that because she's no way she's been working out for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But what's your reaction to I guess what we've been talking about tonight? Did you have it? We started the night, we were talking about position rooms. Is there any room? Is there a room you're concerned about as far as depth, or do you think that we are pretty deep in all rooms?
I think that we have more depth than we've had in many, many years. I like, I think I like the how the 53 man is going to play out for the Jets. I mean, listen, is it perfect? No, but I don't think any team's perfect. I mean, the Chuck Clark injury doesn't help much, but maybe it opens up a slot for a guy, maybe that means I'm just throwing names off the top of my head here, maybe it means Ashton Davis gets some more defensive snaps, or maybe that means if Trey Dean really, plays and shows up in the preseason, maybe he earns a roster spot. So the safety room obviously is something that has to be. It's not as good as it was 2 days ago. Put it that way, And I know, and forgive me because although I had the show on, I was kind of nose deep in film, so I wasn't paying all that attention. I didn't hear how you guys broke it down. I know a lot of people are concerned about the linebacker room. I think that's probably the least depth that we have, but I'm not necessarily concerned. The Jets play so much. They play so much, so much nickel and dime sets that only 2 linebackers are on the field most of the time. So I'm not necessarily concerned about it. If there is one room, I mean, don't get me wrong, like you're a CJ Mosley injury away from being in oh shit territory, so the depth isn't great at the linebacker room. I'd like to see how the wide receiver room pans out. I think you're locked and committed to 4, a top 4, but actually really a top 5 with Randall Cobb.
It's really 5.
But I'd like to see if they're going to keep a 6th and who that 6th is. And, depending on how things work out. I mean, listen, you're not going to have, oh my God, Brandon Echols is going to be out for a week, right? So, somebody's going to take his spot on the roster. So you're going to have to hold an extra defensive back, I'm assuming. I'd I'd like to see how everything pans out in the preseason. And I don't think it's out of the realm that, if they're comfortable enough with their depth at the offensive line, although everyone's kind of locked in on 9 offensive line, they could go to 8 and maybe carry an extra wide receiver. I'd like to see what happens. Corey Davis hasn't been in camp or hasn't been happy in camp from what I understand. Is he long for the Jets? I love Corey Davis, but maybe some of this whole contract thing is a bigger thing than we really know. They got a lot of good young talent. They spent some guaranteed money in some of these undrafted free agents in the wide receiver room who are really good players. Brownlee for one, I thought was super draftable. I had a 4th round grade on him,
Wow.
So there's guys there's guys that we aren't talking about that are going to make the 53-man roster, a la Tony Adams did last year.
Right.
Dom, I gotta ask you the question since you mentioned wide receiver.
Mhm.
Did you ever scout Jerome Cap?
No.
Wow.
Nope.
The one
Shocking.
that got away. Okay.
Yeah.
I was really wondering, because the way he's been playing, I mean, shoot, when I did I can't believe this. I did a 53-man roster video. It's got over 1,500 views. I was
Really?
shocked. Yeah, I was shocked. And probably my boldest take was Cap making the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
You had to have one bold take at least. I mean, otherwise you can't go with all chalk with this thing.
Yeah.
But you really think, I want to go back to what you said about the offensive line. Do you really think they would go with only 8 offensive linemen to start off?
Well, if you think about it, now listen, if you think about it, the offensive linemen that they have outside of the tackles, okay, Mekhi and Dwayne Brown and Max Mitchell and
you gotta be
Carter Warren.
Carter Warren, and you signed Billy Turner.
Well, that's the point. That's the point. Those 4 guys are tackles, right?
Yes.
Everyone else has, and Lakin's a guard, so that's 5. Everyone else has a lot of positional flexibility, right? Billy Turner can play inside or outside, right? Wes Schweitzer can play all 3 of the middle positions, right? Connor McGovern, Joe Tippmann, both have center and guard flexibility. And we know, even though I think that he is for sure going to be a guard, we all know that in a pinch, AVT can play tackle. So there's a lot of flexibility in that offensive line. If everything aligns and health is not an issue, could I see them trying to sneak, 9 guys instead of 10 or 8 instead of 9? I mean, it's an option, right? I don't know who's the one you would cut. I'm not in a position to be comfortable enough to say that. Like, I know who my starting 5 would be, and you paid good money in guarantees for Wes Schweitzer, so I think he's the lock for the roster.
Yeah, I think Cologne gets cut. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think Tristan Cologne is going to make the roster. I don't think the tackle that they just picked up from New England,
Yodny, whatever his name is. I can't say his name.
Yeah, I don't think he's long for the roster.
No,
and I think you spent the 4th round draft pick on Carter Warren for your developmental piece. I think he makes the roster. I'm not sure what Billy Turner's contractual situation is, so I think it's safe to assume that he'll make the roster, right? But you have, there's a chance Connor McGovern doesn't make the roster. If you're comfortable enough with Joe Tippmann as your starting center, and I'm not saying he's handed the job. I think it's going to be a battle in camp. But if Joe Tippmann shows up as your starting center and you have that backup flexibility in Wes Schweitzer, who you have to have based on contractual guarantees, McGovern doesn't make the roster.
Turner's contract is 1 year, $1.65 million with $1 million guaranteed.
So you can be free of that if you really wanted to.
You could be. It's not a huge
easily,
savings, but it's something.
There's also the possibility, like during camp, some team has a serious injury at center.
Yep.
And then you have Tippmann playing really well, and the Jets feel really confident. And Connor McGovern, I mean, if a team lost their center, you're getting a guy who started for the last bunch of years and was middle of the league.
Yeah.
It's a great emergency pickup for a team. And
as much griping as like social media and all the Jets content creators like to do about the offensive line, I don't think it's I think top to bottom it's as deep as we've been in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
In a
I go
long
decades.
time. Yeah.
Decades. Yeah.
So that for me is not a position that I'm necessarily concerned of. I'd like to see what happens with the back of the end wide receivers. I'd like to see if we're going to keep 4 tight ends. I'd like to see how the running back room shakes out. Like, there's something in me that says there's still another move coming. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Dalvin Cook. I don't know if it's somebody else that gets, jostled free during the cuts or something like that. But I think there's another move coming.
Yeah, and I think you got to roll with 2 quarterbacks in this case. I don't think there's any way around it.
Well, the new rule is you can carry a third quarterback and he doesn't count against the 53-man roster.
Correct.
So it's really a 54-man roster.
That's a good point. Yeah, so it could be Boyle, it could be Streveler. But yeah, there's so many different ways you could go with the skill positions. I mean, do you carry a fullback on this roster to help with that running game? Do you do that? Do you keep the extra tight end, the extra wide receiver? I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go with this roster.
Yeah, I honestly, I would think that everything kind of leaning towards a fullback might make sense unless that role is something that you're going to dedicate more reps to someone like my boy over here, Jeremy Ruckert.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because people either love Bawden or they hate him. And I'm kind of in the middle. Like, to me, he's, if he makes the roster, great. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Who hates Nick Bawden? I'm not aware of this.
Well, people hate fullbacks.
They might hate the position.
The concept of the traditional fullback is so 1980s.
I mean, don't you agree that Bawden would have to be a lot better than Jeremy Ruckert, filling in, like, in having some reps at fullback to be worth keeping him on the team? Like, if Ruckert comes in and he's even close to Bawden in execution.
Well, let's say this. I'll say this. So I'm assuming that you guys think right now we're keeping 4 halfbacks. That's an assumption.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we have to. I mean, not
assuming Hall starts the season on the roster. That doesn't start on the pup list.
Yeah, assuming he's on the roster.
Assuming he's on the roster and good to go. We're going to keep 4 running backs, right?
Yeah.
So
Israel, Michael Carter, and Bam.
Yes. So if Bawden's going to make the team, what positional group are you going to take him from? Could he be the guy that is on the roster week 1, is on the 53-man roster and takes Eckle's spot? And they don't bring in an extra defensive back, an extra cornerback, and they run with 5, and Justin Hardy, who labels as a cornerback, but doesn't see any reps at cornerback.
I mean, for week 1 facing Buffalo, I'll take my chances because they have a very top-heavy receiver group. It's not deep at all.
Well,
so I could go with one less defensive back
they're also going to be transitioning a lot and playing a lot more 12 personnel and bigger personnel. They're zigging when the NFL is zagging. So
yeah. That is maybe one big concern I still have. I can't remember the last time the Jets were able to cover a tight end. And this year, facing Kelsey, facing Goddard, facing Waller, and all these other types of guys, are we going to have the coverage ability in the middle of the field to slow down or stop a tight end? Well, Evan Ingram killed us last year against Jacksonville, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and I think that is where we're going to see. Although he's far from a perfect, in pass coverage, but I think that's where we're really going to see the loss of Chuck Clark really come into play. Because I think he was positioned to be that kind of rover, that big nickel, extra defensive back / hybrid on the field. I would love to see Nazarline take that role. I think that he would be perfect for it. He was a strong safety in college, a box safety, has enough chops and gumption to hang with some of those big guys man to man. I would love to see him do that. Chaz Surratt's another guy who could fill that role. But like I said, I think Chuck Clark was our tight end weapon, and that's not going to happen. You got to pivot, and it sure does. It sure does. And maybe that's Adrian Amos. Adrian Amos definitely took a dip last year in his production. However, you're still talking about a guy who's averaged 85 tackles with a 5% missed tackle rate over his entire career, and has missed one game in 8 NFL years.
Yeah, Chuck Clark was pretty durable too. I know, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, Clark was durable too, but yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what the rotation of the safety room looks like. I think I think we're going to see a lot of times we're going to see three safeties on the field.
So. Like Whitehead, Amos, and Adams.
Yeah. I think Adams will play LaMarcus Joyner's role as your hash, your split safety deep middle, and you'll see the other two guys. One of them up in the box, and one of them kind of as that rover hybrid, filling in where Quan was. Not necessarily the same role, but kind of similar in respect. So.
Do you think JBC, Jarek Bernard Converse, over time could convert to that safety role, kind of like Jason Pinnock did?
I think that's the plan. I think that's the plan. When you watch him on film, and he's another guy that I'm doing a quick plug. I'll be doing a breakdown on the bottom on 41 through 53 of the roster for Green Beans channel. Oh. So he's just quick 4-minute videos on those guys, strengths, weaknesses, and where their fit is. And Bernard Converse is an interesting one because some have him pegged to be the backup slot.
Yep.
But we know that Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh love those guys with positional flexibility on their defense. So he can do that. He can drop into the middle. He can play outside if you need him to play outside, in a pinch. He's not the greatest, but he's done all that. JBC was a free safety when he started his collegiate career. He transitioned down to play in the slot and then eventually outside. So he's got enough versatility to do it. He's got he's not the most aggressive when it comes to stopping the run. I think that's one thing that he's going to have to figure out or develop. He's just not the most physical. And that probably hurt him a little bit playing safety. As much as, we cringed at LaMarcus Joyner at times last year, the guy wasn't afraid. There's two things that you can't take away from LaMarcus Joyner. One, he had a knack to break up the pass. He had a sense of the ball. That's more than we can say than a lot of our, the Jets defensive backs. I mean, outside of Revis and Aaron Glenn, like for some reason we always missed those ball hawks. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Cromartie was a big. He's as big of a ball hawk as they come, but he had a sense for that. LaMarcus Joyner, and he, for a small guy, he threw his body around like no other. He was very, very physical, coming down, supporting the run from the free safety position. I don't know if right now if JBC has that in him, but could he handle playing that split safety? That's that deep half concept that the Jets like to run a lot. Yes, he can.
And Joyner played every snap. Not too different than Lincoln Tomlinson. You could say a lot about the way that they played, but at least they showed up to play and they played every snap for this team.
I think Laken Tomlinson is. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. He's my pick for a big rebound, a big bounce back year. There's a lot of other factors that came into him that he just didn't make public. He was grieving the loss of a close family member. He moved and he had some troubles and he had kids on the other side of the country. When he moved, family guy, so on and so forth. So, he was going back and forth a lot from what I understand, dealing with, the loss of I don't know if it was his father or his uncle or somebody who raised him, so on and so forth. So there was a lot going on with Laken Tomlinson, transition into a new environment. Yes, he knew a lot of the coaches, he knew the system, so on and so forth. But there's other stuff that comes into it outside of just what he did or didn't do physically. So he's my pick for bounce back player of the year.
I want to quickly thank Jake. He's been up here for a while. As you can see, he joined the channel, became a snacker. So I wanted to give him a shout out for that and thank him and appreciate that he became a snacker to help support the channel. Thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, awesome, Jake.
Yeah. So, look, I think Lakin, like when you say he needs to, I was saying it before, the two people I'd like to see have that rebound bounce back season, on offense, my guy is Lakin. Yeah, he was the guy I most wanted to sign last year in free agency. I was the most excited about signing him. I thought he was a guaranteed, a sure thing kind of lock. Now I have those doubts, but I know he's capable because he did it in San Francisco for a long time. And then the other guy on defense is Jordan Whitehead. So,
yeah, who also battled an ankle injury as well.
But
people seem to either glance over or not talk about enough is that he played hurt. Listen, is he Ed Reed? No, he's not going to be Ed Reed. Is he Jamal Adams? No, he's not Jamal Adams. But he can be serviceable. And I think that's what Joe Douglas really asks out of his safeties. Just be serviceable. Last year they were probably below that Mendoza line of serviceability as a whole from week 1 to week 18 or 17. How many games did they play? 17. They probably were a little below average. So if you can get that safety room up to average, I think you're going to, I think you're going to see the defense really, really keep that level of fear that they're putting in a lot of offenses around the NFL.
And we could deal with giving up a couple of big plays just as long as they make a couple of big plays once in a while. Because, at least Joyner picked a couple of passes off last year.
He had sense. He had a sense to break up the pass,
He did that as well as anybody on the entire defense. Because remember, the last 2 years, the Jets finished 31st and 29th in takeaways.
Yeah.
If they could just get league average with taking the ball away, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, Eminon, I agree. Ty Conklin was a player I definitely thought about as far as a bounce back year goes. But he got better as the year went on. I feel like he started to cut out the drops. And again, I don't feel Michael LaFleur used tight ends very effectively. Conklin was used like the Jets would be in freaking 3rd and 20, and they do a little dump off pass to Conklin for 6 yards and say, "Here, Ty, go down the sideline and get a first down for us somehow."
Yeah.
I don't think they used him in a very smart way, and I think that's going to change this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're going to see him really excel with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I think you're going to see a lot more. Listen, I don't think you're going to see Pro Bowl caliber play out of him, but I think you're going to see an uptick in CJ Uzomah. I think you're going to see an uptick in Tyler Conklin. Conklin was like the red flag on him last year. What he did last year that he'd never done in his whole career was these drops. I think he had 4 drop passes in 4 years at Minnesota.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And he had 8 last year for us. So that was an anomaly. I'll call it that. And maybe some of it had to do with, just like horrendous quarterback play.
I'll forgive him for the one against Cleveland because there was a drop where it would have been bad for them if he caught it. he and Michael Carter both. He and not Ty Johnson, both.
He and Ty Johnson both dropped passes
during the final drive. Well, it was actually a very. It was a good thing that they dropped it. You know what I mean? It was a good thing. So part of me even thinks deep in their mind they knew this isn't a good thing to catch this ball right.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the possibilities of our offense, man. I think if our offense can match anything to where our defense was last year, I mean, we have the opportunity to see something really, really special this year.
I don't see how it can't. I don't see how it can't.
I don't see how it can't get better.
Right.
I mean, there's just barring catastrophe, slew of injuries, I just don't see how an offense led by Aaron Rodgers can't be better than what they were last year.
I don't see there being dissension taking this team apart. I don't see it with this coaching staff and these players. I don't see how that would happen. I mean, Rodgers has a lot of people in the building he's already comfortable with. He's basically ingrained in New York already. I mean, I'm not worried about infighting. And, again, people who make the Brett Favre comparison, Favre came here during the preseason. He had 3 weeks to get everything done.
Yeah.
Rodgers is going to have 5 months.
Yeah.
What's not to love about this?
If we stay healthy, we will be good. We're going to be better. We're going to be much better. There's no way we could be healthy and not be better when you look at the upgrade in just the quarterback position alone. But also, I think that we're going to see the definition of what we're talking about for the last 3 years. One of the things we've been screaming about is complementary football. And the reality is not just the offense that will be better because of Aaron Rodgers. The defense,
you're absolutely right,
will get a rest. They won't be on the field 1, 2, 3 and out on the field, 1, 2, 3 and out on the field. So that's going to make a huge difference for our defense.
And I think you have Aaron Rodgers at the helm. There's a possibility that you're going to be playing with the lead more often, not chasing, right? So I think that poses a big advantage to our strength of our team, and that's really getting at the quarterback with a plethora of different ways from the defensive line.
And that's where you hope once you have the lead and you have the ball that we have that offensive line that can create that space, and and then you have Breece Hall, who, in a healthy spot, who can get those first downs, who can chew that clock up. I mean, one of the things in football that I understand it, but it bugs me a little bit, is when teams are up and they're running the ball, when everybody and their brother knows they're going to run the ball and they wind up having to give it back anyway. There's times I'd like to see a little bit more ingenuity there from the offensive play calling. But at least with Breece Hall, he's talented enough where the defense can know he's going to get the ball, but they still may not be able to stop him.
Yeah.
Because that is what can help to seal a game rather than have to pump the ball back to the opposition.
Well, and it was so many times last year. Many times. Not to harp on the shitty quarterback play that we had last year. But I mean, how many stacked boxes did we see? Towards the right after the Pittsburgh game. Right after the Pittsburgh game, everyone just started bringing them in, right? Just bringing them in and say, okay, Zach beat us. And unfortunately, Zach wasn't up for the bill some of the time. You can't do that this year. You can't do that. You can't commit one way or another. You can't say, okay, I'm gonna play, drop 8 back like teams do against Patrick Mahomes and say, okay, dare you, go ahead, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, beat me. You can't do that with the Jets because Breece Hall will.
Yeah, when Breece Hall's healthy, assuming he gets back to anything like he was, you're absolutely right. He will punish teams.
I mean, we faced more. Yeah, I mean, those defenses, there were more stacked boxes than the entire truck fleet at U-Haul. It was just, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. The Jacksonville game, I think, was in a second New England game and the Jacksonville game, even more so. I mean, Jacksonville had 9 guys in the box at one time.
It was so obvious.
They were playing single high. They would man up on the outside guy, and everyone else was just run committed.
The most vanilla defense, and we couldn't beat it.
Nope,
couldn't beat it. And we knew from the beginning, like from the first 5 minutes, it's like. It was like one of the only times where it was like, we ain't got a chance right now.
Yeah, there wasn't many games that I went in that I really thought like, wow, this is awful. Like we don't have a chance. Jacksonville was one, and Seattle was another one. Yeah, it was just like from the opening whistle, I was just like, man, like this ain't gonna work out.
This ain't the day. Well. And what made the Seattle game so frustrating, as I recall, I believe that was our game coming off the bye, or we had a long week. I know it was one of the two situations.
I don't
remember. We definitely had extra time going into that Seattle game. And for the first play for Kenneth Walker to have like a 40-50 yard run, I'm like, oh my God. You pretty much knew going into that game, whoever lost was all but done.
Yeah.
And when that play happened, I said, that's it. We're not. Yeah. We ain't got it.
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to be different about this year is that, one of you guys alluded to it earlier, like there's no infighting. Like this is as much of a team as we've seen in a while. Like you can tell that these guys are buying in. These guys are playing. These guys want to play here. They want to play with each other. They happen to like each other. You know, there's no Sheldon Richardsons or Braylon Edwards on the team. You know, that everyone can't stand, that are locker room problems. Even right now with all the stuff, you know, with you know, all the Q stuff, like, you know, you see it on Twitter, you see it all over the place. You hear people talking like, you know, like they love Q, they want Q. You know, it's not like he's just being, you know, he's a diva. That's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, these guys want to be here, and I think Aaron Rodgers just raises that bar even that much more higher for them to really buy in. I think the defense is bought in. Is bought in, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to raise that bar of the offense a lot closer to the defense. You know, and listen, I'm a huge fan, huge optimist, optimistic in our chances, but I'm also a realist and saying, like, I'm not going to write us off as like the lock for the AFC East. It's going to be a dogfight, man. Miami's a good team and Buffalo's a good team, and we haven't beat New England since Y2K was in diapers. So,
and Tigo hadn't even been conceived yet. So
yeah. But on that note, guys, I'm going to dip out, man. I like I said, I was here. I appreciate the invite, Jeremy. I was just knee deep in some film, so I'm going to get back into that and before I call it a night.
Yeah, we're gonna close the show anyway. Thanks for coming on. And you talked about the video series you're doing.
Yeah, so I've finally bit the bullet, and there is a new YouTube channel coming out. Maybe you guys saw my little snippet in the chat. It's called Project Prospect. It's just a continuation. I took that little series that I did on Green Bean's channel last year leading into the draft and just going to develop that into a channel. There's going to be prospect breakdowns. There's going to be scouting done on all the prospects from here on, into the draft season. So a lot of the stuff that I was doing for Green Bean, I'm just moving over and going to have my own channel out there. It's just getting underway, so you guys can just search out there. You'll see some videos coming out. You'll see me on Twitter announcing when some videos are ready. I'm going to take Jeremy's advice, and I'm not going to kind of launch the channel until I have a good solid base of videos that I can put out there. So on top of that, we're going to be doing all 22 breakdowns. If you guys, I would love to come back on Wednesdays during the season and do the all 22 breakdowns with you guys again, like we did last year, breaking down the games in the previous. My podcast is going to be kind of centered in that new channel as well. So there's a lot of good stuff coming on, a lot of good action, a lot of good Jet stuff, and a lot of stuff that just kind of seeps outside of the realm of just Jets content as well. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
I love it. You'll definitely have a platform during the season to go through the all 22 with us whenever you want, because that's quality content.
Yeah, man. So I start scout school in 2 weeks. So I am going to officially move forward and kind of get further educated in the realm of scouting these prospects. So we'll see what comes about of it, man.
I love it. That's exciting.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, dude. But always a pleasure, Adam. Always a pleasure, Jeremy. And chat, you guys are the best. Dude, off season, the slowest time of the year, and to still have you guys in here week in, week out, man. You guys are troopers. And it's a testament to guys like Jeremy and Adam for putting on good shows. And they're only putting on the shows because you guys are here ready to watch them. So keep supporting these guys. And on that note,
thanks for the love, Dom.
All right. I'll talk to you guys.
You got it.
Take care. So what do you got going on, Adam?
Oh, man. Well,
right camera, that camera, this camera. There you go.
All right,
Tell the world what you're doing.
I'll just focus on that camera. Okay. So, yeah, right before we came on, I recorded a video about the New York Rangers hiring Peter Laviolette as their head coach. So I did a little bit of a deeper dive on that. Just need to edit that. That'll be up probably tomorrow morning. I'm probably going to put it up first thing. So if you're a hockey fan, definitely check that out. And like I said, I'll be heading to Philly, and I plan on recording a good amount of that trip. Count on a whole lot of food. So I know everybody likes watching Jeremy snack, but it might be snack 2K99 in this case. So I'm looking forward to it. And hey, I'm even working on a new intro video for the channel. I don't know if I'm going to change it up too much from the one that I was using, but I'm gonna maybe put different music, maybe a different image here and there, just to give it a little bit of a fresh look. But hey, my 53-man roster projection for the Jets is up. It's a couple days old now before the Chuck Clark injury happened, but that's got almost 1,600 views now. So go ahead and check that out as well. So check me out, NY Sports Wicker Media.
All right, I love it. I love it. I love it. And guys, obviously you're here, so you know me, you know the deal. I've been trying to put out some videos lately. I put out a couple this week. I'll try to get another couple out this week. I'll try to keep them coming. It's just the slow season, but I want to do the slow season to at least keep the Wednesday nights show going and not lose too much momentum. But you'll notice as we get into training camp and everything like that, the quantity of content will obviously increase. And we'll get this channel back on track. It's just been we're kind of like, not completely on vacation. It's like when you semi-retire. But right now, the channel is kind of like in semi-hibernation. But don't worry about it. I'll be active. I'll be busy real soon. And it's going to be an exciting season. I appreciate everybody supporting us through these dead parts of the year. And I appreciate Adam for sticking with the weekly show. He's always available. Whenever you see the show canceled, it's always because of me. It's never because of Adam. So take care, everybody.
Knock on wood on that one. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. Be well.
We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, we're in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go.
Jets by 1 million today.
Yeah.